welcome to the show. Welcome also to my intrepid co-host, Dancing Dan, the Dancing Man. Hi, everybody, and thanks for tuning in. What's our topic tonight, anyway? Oh, now you're starting to break up. You sound like a robot now. It's actually kind of cool. It's kind of a cool sound effect if you're doing that on purpose. If you're not doing that on purpose, then there is a technical difficulty.
How's it now?
Exactly the same.
Hold on.
This was all working great before.
What about now?
Like 1 minute, still sound like a robot. You sound like that one Neil Young album or Peter Frampton on stage talking through the microphone.
I'm wondering if I can make myself out.
I have no idea what is going on.
Hold on.
It is Mr. Roboto. So sorry about the technical difficulties, folks. We are doing what we got to do here to make the show happen. So if you were going to ask what's our topic tonight, the answer is I have no idea. Dan is extracting himself from the situation down here, but we'll talk about Dan's new computer because he got a new computer. So I heard you got a new computer.
How was that now?
That's far better.
Okay. Yeah, and that's why I'm in the garage. That's why I'm in the doghouse.
Oh, we figured it was because you were smoking a pipe in the house and she kicked you out. That was everybody's guess.
No, I've got to configure.
Get that shit out of my house.
I don't have the time. I just came back from work, so I don't work tomorrow. So I'm going to work everything out tomorrow, and hopefully Saturday show is going to be from that computer.
Very good. Very good. I'm sure it will be wonderful.
Wonderful.
Just wonderful. So
it's just wonderful.
What did you have on the docket for topic tonight?
Staying on topic.
Staying out. Our topic is staying on topic. Okay, cool. Yeah. We can do that.
Why don't we ever really stay on topic? Is it because there's a lot of interesting other topics that hit us or something, or are we both hyperactive?
I'm definitely not hyperactive. I'm something else. But did I just lose it? No, I'm good. We're good. I think part of it is the realities of actually having a live stream and actually doing what you should do with a live stream, which is interacting with the chat. Right, that the chat is going to drag you off topic unless it is like a super restricted chat, which we do not have. So. Well, that's another thing is if there's a technical difficulty, we got to fill the dead air, right? So talk about random stuff. So 50% hyper team. Dan, I am feeling melancholy in the Aristotelian sense today, I think. So, but it's been not such a bad day. It's just we got a lot of stuff going on, a little tired, hips hurt. Keep forgetting to take the ibuprofen. So
do you need a hug?
Yeah, it's a long distance hug, sure. That'd be great.
You got it.
Maybe we'll do that on camera at WBC next year, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll be talking about that as it gets closer. Pretty sure, yeah, that's in the past now. We're in friggin' October, so it sounds like it went off. Sounds like attendance was down a little bit, but shouldn't surprise anybody. You see what I mean about topic drift, right?
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of it is too that we run a kind of a stream of consciousness show here, right? And we start with a topic, but that's just the start, right? And sometimes we don't even start. We just never talk about the topic. Like, remember all those times we used to talk about Stalingrad? We never got to talk about Stalingrad. So.
And so, who's that guy who did stream of consciousness beat writing?
Oh, Jack Kerouac.
Jack Kerouac. So we're like Jack Kerouac, man.
Oh, we're the Jack Kerouac of wargaming. Okay, I'll take that. I mean, it's kind of right. It's Euro convention. Stigler says, "Why would one lower oneself to go to a Euro convention?"
What's the matter with that guy?
Why would you go to any convention? I mean, somebody's gonna play a Euro there. I mean, somebody apparently. I heard the second hand. I didn't see on the table, probably because they hid it in the back room in shame. But I went to ASL Oktoberfest I was there for like 45 minutes. I didn't play anything. I just kind of went and took some pictures and left. But that is like the hardest hardcore of the hardest core of the wargaming hobby, right? Those guys are serious. And they're apparently they played Terraforming Mars at some point during that week-long event. So if they can play Terraforming Mars at the Euro event, then I think we can all deal with the fact that there's a room of Euros being played at WBC, in addition to the multiple rooms of war games happening, from classic Avalon Hill stuff to the folks who show up to do monster games to to whatever else happens there. So, and I've never been to WBC, but I know a fair number of people at this point that have, and I've seen a lot of pictures, video of it.
Well,
So
it depends. I mean, if you go to Artie, you're probably going to be on the second floor where all the tournaments are happening. But I tell you something, it's stale up there, man.
So, the my advice to anybody going to a war game event is set up what you're doing. Know what you're going to play. Don't expect to just show up and do a pickup game. I mean, you can get into that kind of stuff, and that's fine if you're lucky. But I always find if I don't have like something lined up, I'm always it's always hard for me to like fill the whole day out, right? I
Yeah,
just
but
end up walking around and stuff like that.
At WBC downstairs, there's so many games happening. That's what I mean. Upstairs is very stale because it's a tournament, okay? And I don't mean stale in a derogatory way. I'm just saying it's just
I
stale.
thought you meant stale in an aromatic way, actually.
Well, yeah.
So,
But WBC is great for pickup games, man. Let me tell you, you don't even have to bring a game. You just go there and someone's playing a game. And
oh,
you're
sure, sure. I'm not
Hey, so
much of a
Artie,
tournaments guy. I'm
uh,
not much of a competitive player, so I'm not really into the whole. I'm going to practice playing this game for the next 3 months so that I can go in and win at WBC. I mean, we got guys locally that do that, and I'm just not that kind of player. So I'd be much more interested in sitting down. It's a whole week convention, right? I might as well take advantage of that, play a big monster game, right? There's going to be
my
guys who
God.
play big monster games, but they know who's going to be there right before the convention, and the people that are like arranged to play show
Yes,
up.
yes,
So
yes.
one of the things that this has always been a difficulty with smaller war game conventions in particular, because if you don't know anybody yet, it's like hard. You just show up and you stand around. I mean, you didn't get in any of the games. They may or may not have room for you. Probably they don't. And maybe they don't want an inexperienced player hashing the game up too, or learning the game amidst a bunch of relatively experienced players. So one of the things that John Krantz has done with Concept World Expo and with the Dallas thing and with the Compass Expo is to just kind of put a big contact list on the webpage so that you can say, hey, I want to play these 3 games in
Right,
this
right.
priority order, and then I can email whoever to arrange to see, hey, is there an open spot? Can I play? What do I need to do beforehand to get to make that happen? So in this case, right? So I wanted to play the War, which is off camera actually.
You're talking about the Compass game? Okay.
War. Yeah,
Yeah.
which is a terrible title because you can't find the thing on BGG, but it's a neat looking game, and I wanted to play it. So Ernie Copley, the designer, is on there. I emailed Ernie and I said, hey, is there space free? I'd like to try it. We'll be coming in. We'll be there the whole time. Blah 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 blah. But I'll be a noob. He said, yes, totally. We can get you in somewhere. So, and it's the kind of game that's relatively flexible about number of players. So if you have 2 players, no problem. If you have up to 6 players, no problem. And if he runs the whole war with both the Europe and the Pacific one, then he could probably fit 7 people in that, no problem. And that's a big game at that point, right?
Is it a big game, that game?
Well, I mean, yeah, it's pretty big. I mean, there's not a lot of like off-map stuff. There's some. There's not a lot of off-map displays, like huge force pools like in WIF that you got to manage with 75 different little paper cups and stuff like that. But it's 2 maps for Europe, 2 maps for the Pacific. And then there's probably another map or 2 worth of like displays and tables and that kind of stuff. So I'd call that a pretty big game, right? It's kind of game you should be able to finish. Ernie says you can finish it in a weekend. That's a long weekend, but that's not bad. So, and that's assuming the players are reasonably familiar with it and don't have to constantly look stuff up. So,
hey, I left that Jeff Beeler's question there. Is there a sexy war game, and what is it?
yeah, Undaunted. I'm not really kidding. I mean, it's if we're interpreting the term "sexy" fairly broadly here. I realize that, but
I'm laughing. It's
but it's got top quality components. It's got a sleek design. It's very accessible.
What happened?
I don't know. A light went out.
I think you're gonna get sniped.
I hope not. I got to get that put somewhere else anyway. So I just got to, there's still some configurating that's got to happen here. Went off too. I think I had a little bit of power snafu on the USB hub because all the lights are plugged into the USB hub. I blew a USB hub actually. And I can't I can work without it. The camera is not hooked up to the USB hub, but the microphone's not, but all the lights are. I'm like, man, I could be streaming in the dark. I got to get a new USB hub. So I ordered one from Amazon. It costs like, I don't know, $25 or something like that. So, yeah, I can't argue with that. Taking the question literally, I think you have to conclude that that is in fact the answer. And it's the #1 selling game in the history of Victory Games too.
Am I breaking up again?
Yeah, you're starting to break up a little bit again.
Okay, let me do the thing again.
Oh dear, he's doing the thing again where so folks, this would be an example of off-camera movement where Dan disappears and doesn't say anything. He just vanishes and comes back in a couple of minutes.
How's it now?
Once he's been scouted, it's still breaking up a little bit.
Okay, I got to do the thing again.
So what's the game I played the least? Played means played, not set up and just fiddled. I mean, I got plenty of games that I've just never played at all. So, I mean, those are going to be there's a big list. I think I feel like I do pretty well as far as unplayed versus unplayed ratio. But I kind of count series as kind of one thing too, right? So if I say, hey, I got 15 OCS games, which is approximately correct, then yeah, I've played OCS. I haven't played every single game in the whole series, but I've played a fair amount of OCS. How about now?
How's the sound?
Terrible. What are you doing in there? You got some EMP machine cranking out wattage, or somebody running a washing machine next to you or something like that?
No. I got my wheat plants drying, so maybe that's doing it.
It's probably the microphone is high. That's probably what it is.
Does it still sound like crap?
Yeah, it sounds a little crappy.
Okay, let me fix it.
I'm sure you're using the right audio device as opposed to like the camera microphone or something like that. That's usually often the problem anyway. So when does the reinforcement schedule say Dan will come back? We're not sure. We'll have to see which entry area he'll be returning from. So, I mean, it wasn't particularly weird for RPG books to have some nudity in them either in certain periods. And it even happens now. It's just unusual now. Well, that's better.
Okay.
Okay, good.
What about now?
Sounds good. Still sounds fine.
Great.
So I haven't played GTS in about 2 years. So GTS is a project game, right? I mean, there's a couple things on this. Every game in the series, except for Where Eagles Dare, has and possibly No Question of Surrender, has a good selection of like small scenarios that you can work up to. But the game really does shine brightest in the big games where you have a bunch of different commands and you have several players and that kind of thing. I have no idea what he is demonstrating now.
Stretch Armstrong.
But we tried to get him a paper bag to wear, but there's a shortage due to Cleveland Browns fans buying them all. So so the Greatest Day is a wonderful package. It's a great package to learn with because there are like 21 scenarios in the game, and they do all the beaches. Well, all the British Canadian beaches anyway. So you can do all those. You can explore several one map scenarios, and that's a pretty good sized game. We've got the new GTS magazine coming at some point, tradition number 2 from somebody. And that's going to have a one mapper in it. Still a pretty big game. But it's a lot of fun to play it. It solos well. If you want to solo it, that's fine. Because it's fundamentally chit pull. But there's like a whole mechanism. It's not like your garden variety chit pull game where, okay, so I draw my chit, I'm gonna go. You've got a lot of decision making and resource management features built into the chit system in there in that case. And it's just a lot of fun to play.
Hey,
It's
Artie.
less fun when you roll like I do, but
Artie,
yes.
who coined chit?
The word chit. So,
Like,
as far as I could tell, the first true chit pull board war game is Panzer Command from Eric Lee Smith Victory Games 86, 84, something like that. 87 maybe. But who turned calling them chits versus counters, I find that's a lot more common for non-war gamers to describe war games. I tend to see more war gamers calling them counters. And I think the
yeah.
term counter, I feel like that sounds like an SPI piece of language. But I could be wrong about that. It's entirely possible that it predates SPI.
You know, when you talk about SPI, we should have John Krantz on one day because he's a big SPI guy.
Yes, he is. I know of no plans to do this. There's a fair amount of GTS stuff in the pipeline that's going to be in front of any Vietnam thing. So the difficulty is that it's fundamentally a sort of grand tactical ha-has because it's GTS, the Grand Tactical Series, right? And I think you could make that work with some actions in Vietnam, but not with others. But then when you start looking at the higher level commands, it's going to start feeling weird, and you even see some of that in CSS when you look at the Pacific Island campaign games, where the Japanese command structure is kind of weird and a little bit arbitrary, just because that's the way it has to work. So to make the game work, there are no written orders in GTS. You're probably thinking of TCS. So I'm not the Free Kriegspiel guy. So this is a question I would ask Jim Ozarski. So go ask Jim Ozarski. Although he might be less familiar with GTS than I am, but I'm certainly less familiar with Free Kriegspiel. But I mean, to me, Free Kriegspiel is characterized by the presence of a referee. You do write orders, and you all your information is essentially hidden and given to you by the game master or game master assistants. So you have to make a lot of decisions based on incomplete information, which is why Free Kriegspiel is neat, to be honest, and why it's very different from playing a board war game for the most part.
Check this out, Artie. We got our answer.
Well, etymologically, that makes sense. But is that the actual etymology of it that comes down to war games? I tend to think this sounds pretty credible to me.
Did you just say you're talking about insects, entomology?
What?
Talking about insects.
Etymology, the history of a word.
Look at that. It's just that etymology and entomology just by one what do you call them? Alphabet. It changes everything.
No. They're not as close. They're not as close as you think they are. You'll have to take my word for it because I'm not a gastroenterology. Yes, exactly. So TCS, hopefully everybody got in on that MMP bagged game sale, because there were 3 or 4 TCS games for sale there, and I thought about buying a couple of them actually, but then I realized I don't want to spend the money. So if it's on sale or not, I just couldn't swing it. I've got one TCS game. I would certainly like to try TCS at some point.
This he's killing it tonight, man. I'm gonna beat him up.
I don't really see that lang. Maybe I have less interaction with British wargamers, but the thing is that to a lot of British folks, wargaming means playing with miniatures too, and I just that is not my scene, so I have nothing to say about it. But for a miniatures player, that might make sense because you've got like a token or a chit that you're going to set down next to some miniatures to indicate the status of that unit. So it's a token showing you the status of that unit. So I feel like that's, just me going off the cuff on the potential etymology of that, but I think that's credible.
5'3", 5'3". Yeah, rat.
5'3". You're 5'3"?
Yeah, how tall are you?
5'10", something like that.
You want to dance?
I'm starting to shrink in my old age, so.
Yeah, I used to be 5'4". I'm 5'3" now.
Carl says that he got 2 TCS games, Ariete and GD42. So GD42 is pretty meaty. Ariete is interesting in that this is right up your alley, Dan. Didn't you get Ariete?
No, man.
Well, you should have, because it's like the best Italian unit in all of World War II.
I didn't even know MP had a sale.
Was the Ariete division. So the it was, in fairness, it was like announced on a Thursday, hey, we're going live with this tomorrow, and it ended on Sunday. So it's not like these things last for a particularly long time. It's a little staticky. So it's like Prime Day today and tomorrow, I guess, are like Prime Day. So there's a bunch of stuff on sale. So if you got good prices today, I'm not particularly surprised. U.S. Civil War is pretty great. I think I mostly prefer it to the Eric Lee Smith Civil War. Mostly, there's some things that it does that I really like, that really kind of distills the cool things about the Eric Lee Smith Civil War that were kind of overwrought in an 80s era design. On the other hand, I do rather like the dynamic leader system that the Civil War has that U.S. Civil War does not have. And I'm a little surprised that there isn't like some kind of variant or support that I'm aware of to put that kind of variable leader system into U.S. Civil War. I mean, I'd kind of like to have it as an option. I'm okay with not playing with it all the time, but I'd like to have the opportunity to do that some of the time.
But is this true that it wasn't for Canadians?
I'm reasonably sure that it was for everybody, but you'd of course paid through the nose to get it shipped to you, I'm sure.
Jesus, I swear to God.
So Trevor says you're 5'3" and heels. Is that true?
Yeah, it's the night we spent together. He wanted me
he's probably got a pair of those shoes with the goldfish in them from Tommy. Was that Tommy, or was that I'm gonna get you, sucker? I forget.
I saw Tommy.
I want to say that was I'm gonna get you, sucker. Actually, yeah. They just had the Elton John and the huge platform shoes in Tommy, which is, man, that's a weird movie. U.S. Civil War on Amazon says $62.91, which is still, I think, a good price for it. So particularly if you can get it for free shipping, unless you're Canadian, then it's $1 million. I mean, they might as well, really. No. We could use a better beer down here.
Yeah, but no.
More hockey.
Who am I going to make fun of?
Other Canadians, like the non-Quebecois Canadians. Speaking of that, you're aware that there's a game on the Rebellion in Lower Canada, right?
Yeah.
Have you looked at that?
No, I haven't, but I know the guy.
Yeah, that's some history that I think as Americans, is that like something that every kid learns about in school in Canada?
Well, actually, not in Quebec.
Okay.
There's Upper Canada. Upper Canada is more Ontario, and see, it's just discriminatory right there.
So, what do you call somebody from Ontario? Are they an Ontarian, or are they Ontaries, or what is that? What do you call
them? Ontarians.
Okay, it sounds like they're from some alien galaxy.
Well, I mean, Ontario is a great province, man. I love Ontario.
Oh, I'm sure it's very nice there. It's a little cold, but
actually, it's cold.
That's true.
Actually, no, it's probably cold. Whatever.
That's true. It's like, I think like 75% of the population of Canada lives south of Ann Arbor, I think. So, or something like that. Maybe it's Detroit. Who knows? Ontarianians. That's a good one. I like that one.
It's Doug. Doug, are you from Ontario? Yeah, this is yeah.
John's wife is royalty. I met John's wife. She's a fabulous lady. So, yeah, we're not like super big on sticking to the topics around here. You notice, even when we have a topic that's sticking to topics, we don't really stick to that topic. We're mostly making fun of Canadians. Don't worry, I am accumulating material for the coming weeks to make fun of Dan on a consistent basis.
Well, you know something. A lot of people make fun. Well, a lot of people, Americans, make fun of Canadians. But if we're going to talk war, Canadians kick ass, man.
Oh, it was Canadians have generally speaking had a very elite military. I'll absolutely agree with that. I mean, there's a little bit of fogginess in the history though, because when did you start becoming Canadians and stop being British?
Ah, that's good. I like
so
that.
that's kind of a question that you have to answer.
Well,
so I think the British are just trying to take all the credit. I mean, we all know that the British are happy to fight to the last Canadian or New Zealander or Scotsman or, whatever.
Well, you know what? I mean, there's a percentage of every dollar that goes back to Britain that we spend. So, bloody hell, it's got to stop.
Does that like go directly? Well, I guess it isn't going directly to the Queen anymore, is it?
No, but it goes to Charles.
It goes to Chuck. Yep.
Chuck.
King Chuck. What was that movie with John Goodman where he was like King Ralph, where the entire British family gets wiped out because the boat sinks or something like that, and the next closest relative they can find that's in line turns out to be John Goodman, something like that. So there you go. You can get U.S. Civil War for $78 Canadian. I mean, you might as well give it away for free for that price, right?
Oh, Jesus, man.
Yeah, that's a good question. When are they gonna put when are they gonna put Chuck on the money?
I don't know, man, but we're paying.
Have they
for
said
that.
yet? There's like a plan in England to do that.
Of course.
Because they've been preparing for this for years, right? But I don't know what the Canadians are gonna do.
But you know how much money? That's funny. You know how much money that takes to change the money?
Well, that's why it doesn't happen immediately. They're gonna have to stop printing the old banknotes and start printing the new banknotes, and the banknotes don't last forever, and they retire them anyway after a few years, right?
No, but our banknotes last forever. They're made out of plastic, for God's sake.
Are they?
Yeah, our money's like plastic.
Okay, Eric Hansen says that Canadians became Canadians at Vimy Ridge. What do you think of that?
No, but yes, but no, but yes.
And this was a weird thing. Like Newfoundland was not considered part of Canada until I don't know what, the 50s or 60s or something like that. It was well after World War II.
Yeah, I love people from Newfoundland. I would love to go to Newfoundland. These are salt of the earth people, man. You know what I'm talking
and
about?
the fish have a good time up in Newfoundland.
These guys are Vikings, man. These are Vikings.
Well, the Vikings all died and moved to Minnesota, but yeah, okay. I mean, there's certainly it's I've got a friend who lives in I think it's Newfoundland, but it's in the Maritimes. I forget exactly where, and it's pretty rough there. They've got no power for 3 weeks at a time, and no internet. They're living off the land and shitting in a
Artie,
crate out in the backyard.
You got to check this out. Iceberg Alley.
Okay.
Check it out. Google it. Iceberg Alley. You're gonna freak out, man. It's unbelievable in Newfoundland.
Okay. Is this in Newfoundland? Okay. Well, we'll have to investigate that. John Stanley says Into the Woods is $50. That is a gangbusters price for a extremely high value package. Stigler, of course, will praise it as well, but it's a great package. It's a great vehicle to learn Great Battles of the American Civil War from, because you could scale up the battles very gradually, and there's a lot of interesting battles and scenarios in there.
Yeah, Trevor, Newfoundland got blasted bad, man.
Okay, so Brian Gash has tried Lefroy. So if you like smoky, heavily peated Scotch, you might like Lefroy. It is something that many people find that they have to kind of work their way up to, because it's kind of the smoky. It's not exactly the smokiest, because there's like an actual chemical way to measure that. And Ardbeg is actually has the highest phenol number. Not Lefroy, but to me, to my palate, Lefroy tastes way smokier, and it's got a way more complex smoke flavor. It's got a lot of medicinal notes. Did you say zippery?
No, kippery, kippers.
Kippery. Yeah, I mean, it's got kind of that sort of maritime thing. I mean, most of it's made on an island in the middle of the Atlantic, so that's not particularly surprising. So I love Lefroy 10. I would be happy to drink Lefroy 10 all day if I could get away with it. But it's not necessarily for everybody. Let me put it that way.
No, it's not. It's not. And you say Ardbeg is even heavier than Lefroy?
See, I don't think heavier is the right term, actually. I think Lefroy is quite a light spirit. I think it's got quite a light body to it. But it's very smoky. I think Ardbeg has a little fuller mouthfeel in some ways, but not as like sort of. It doesn't have as sort of a thick mouthfeel like something like Macallan might, or something like that. If that makes any sense. There's no precise scientific language to describe this stuff.
I think Macallan is actually pretty light.
I can't argue with this. Many people just cannot handle the chemical and or iodine notes that their palate pulls out of something like Lefroy. A friend of ours is a registered nurse, and she cannot stand any smoky Scotch. She loves Scotch, but she can't stand any smokiness at all, because to her, the overwhelming smell and taste is iodine.
Well, she should try Highland Park.
She's tried Highland Park. She hates it. I love Highland Park. Highland Park is fantastic. So
fantastic.
There's Carl. Carl, how's it going?
Hey!
I will disagree with the characterization of. I assume we're talking about The Greatest Day. I will disagree with the characterization that it is an unplayable monster game. However, I will admit to the challenge in general of playing monster games, which are much less easier to arrange than, something like, I don't know, No Retreat, Brush in Front, for example.
Carl Parazzi, man, Savo.
I like Lagavulin a lot too, but I find it. I think it's frankly expensive for what it is. I'd rather drink Kalila than Lagavulin because of the price. What's that?
What's Kalila?
Kalila. I don't have a bottle of it right now. Kalila is one of the Isla distilleries. It's also pretty heavily. If I can get it in Ohio, you can get it in Canada. Okay,
well, how is it spelled?
I'll have to put it in the chat because.
Yeah, Carl, I just got my computer a couple of days ago.
I put it in the chat. It's spelled Kalila. Or is it? No, I think that's right. Oh, you'll get different people pronouncing these differently, even if they're from Scotland, because people pronounce things differently, even in different parts of Scotland. Brian Cox, great Scottish actor, did like a series for Variety or something like that of videos. You can find these on YouTube where he pronounced the names of various Scotch whiskeys.
Yeah,
and he got a number of them wrong. So, so it is regional. So I'm not saying wrong, but I'm going with what Ralphie says. Ralphie.com. That's the YouTube's foremost Scotch whiskey expert.
Is he?
And he's really? Oh yeah, absolutely. I will go with, he's a Scotsman who happens to be living on the Isle of Man, and I just trust. He's got great insights. He does like 2 videos a week or a video a week or something like that. He's been doing it for years. So Carl's got monitors for you, Dan. He's got the monitors.
Oh, thanks, Carl.
Carl, I want you to write on the back of the monitors before you give them to Dan. I want you to write "stolen from the library of Carl Parody," if you don't mind.
Oh man, no, I thank you, Carl. I got 2 monitors for really cheap, like 180 bucks. Thank you, and they're fantastic.
Hey, well, how many monitors will your computer support is the question you should ask.
2.
Oh, that's it? Okay, well, there you go. A lot of
Maybe
Dells will
that's
only
it.
support, due to motherboard limitations, they'll only support 2 monitors.
No, but why would I want more than 2 monitors?
I'll tell you what, the stream last night, I really could have used a 3rd monitor, to be honest. And that 3rd monitor is right here, but I'm using it for work. I got to get another monitor so I can use that monitor for work and put this monitor on the streaming computer.
So
Because it really does help. I got a lot of shit going on, right? I got StreamYard open, I got YouTube open, I got a spreadsheet open with the list of stuff I'm talking about. I got the script open. I've got whatever graphics screen that I'm sharing, which last night was like 3 different Chrome windows. I've got potentially like a picture viewer open as well at the same time, and it's very difficult to some of those things, like the chat needs to be like a whole half screen.
So how much RAM do you have?
I've got 32 gigs of RAM.
Yeah. Carl suggested I stay with 16 with the computer I just bought, and I listened to him.
So I would take Carl's advice because I don't know jack shit about Macs. Generally speaking, however, 16 is fine. Unless you're doing something exceptionally crazy, like building a whole Dr. Evil rig where you got 10 monitors or something like that. Or you're doing like super high-end video rendering for special effects. 16 should be fine.
What about the 3 screens of porn? Will that accept 16? Would 16 go good?
I mean, I think so. Where is this? Is this YouTube? This game is in print. You can get this game from a Gray Rooster for something like 60 or 70, 80 bucks. So yeah, I'd say this guy's on some form of crack. Carl says you put 3 on there.
Yeah, Carl. Look, Carl finangles everything. He's a computer engineer, for God's sake.
So depending on the motherboard will have a maximum RAM capacity. 16 is a little low nowadays for a Windows machine, but I don't know what our landscape looks like for Macs, to be honest. I don't know what the hell you're getting.
Well, look, man, every increment of RAM I get, 8 gig increments there, whatever, 16, is $250, man.
Okay. I mean, that's Canadian, though.
Yeah, what's the matter with you? I pay with Canadian money.
I'm just saying. I mean, it's practically free, right? But 8 gigs of RAM is a lot of RAM, right? I mean, if you add 8 gig, you wouldn't add 8, you'd add 16. But if you could so you just replace the chips you got, right? Generally speaking, you're going to max out the number of chip slots that you have for RAM, right? So if you got 2 slots, you'll get 2 8s or 2 16s. If you got 4 slots, you'll get 4 8s or 4 16s. And if you're really ambitious, you'll get 2 or 4 32 gig sticks, but those are pretty pricey still last.
Yeah, but you know what?
Which has been a while, but
Mac does not allow you, unless you're a guy like Carl, Mac does not allow you to add extra RAM personally. You got to order it. They send out your computer with that amount of RAM.
This is why I don't buy Macs, actually. There's nothing wrong with Macs. If you're comfortable with that, do that. I'm not making a value judgment here. I'm just saying I would like to be able to, monkey with my computer sometimes, upgrade the hard drive or whatever. I got 3 hard drives in this thing. There's an SSD and there's 2 mechanical hard drives. This is why I have 10 terabytes of storage. So
10 terabytes.
I don't think I could get a Mac with 10 terabytes of storage.
Yeah, sure, you can get a Mac with 10 terabytes, but it's going to cost you 30 grand.
Yeah, this cost me about $1,600.
Jesus.
Extra hard drives and all. So, I don't like this either. I mean, this is sort of planned obsolescence, and if it's soldered in at 16,
obsolescence.
So, I mean, that's a reality of the electronics world right now. So, that's for everything except Windows PCs. For the most part, Apple knows what you want to do today, and by God, you're going to do it.
That's true. That's true, 100%.
Yes, and of course, Trevor has decided to go there. So I mean, I wanted all that space for so I got a fast mechanical hard drive and a slow mechanical hard drive. And the slow
Jesus.
mechanical hard drive is where I put all the extra video. And the fast mechanical hard drive is where I store like backups of documents and that kind of stuff. So that's why, because you can't 100% trust an SSD. SSDs are not as mature a technology as a physical, as a mechanical magnetic hard drive, which they've been around for like 75 years, right? They used to be like this big. So that's a super mature technology. They're extremely reliable. SSDs are not as reliable. I personally have lost shit by putting it on a thumb drive. So
SSDs are not reliable?
no, they will tend to fail. They'll fail a lot more, a lot quicker than a mechanical hard drive will, generally speaking.
Son of a bitch.
And if you don't have a backup, well, you're sorry, your shit's just gone. So another thing that I do is all that critical stuff, not the old video and stuff, but all that critical stuff like my project files and that stuff is all copied to the cloud. It's all in the cloud. So I don't really have to worry about it if if the computer starts emitting smoke at any time, which I have seen, by the way, something blow in a computer and the computer catches on fire. I've actually seen that. I've been like this far from it when that happens. So,
hey, the big guy's in the chat. Everybody.
The big guy, is that Harold Buchanan?
You got it.
Harold is in the chat. Harold, I'm trying to get that video edited, but I had technical difficulties. So we'll see if we can get it out this week.
Yeah, gotta love Harold, man. When I see him, I'm gonna kiss him right in the mouth.
So this is actually absolutely true. All long-term storage will fail and people should back their shit up.
You know, so, I mean, Carl.
Yeah,
you know
but they're. What's that?
Carl, I was talking to Carl about computers just this last week, and he asked me about that. So use the Time Machine. It's a backup thing on Mac. And I said, what are you talking about? And he says, you didn't back up anything? And I said, no. And he called me a sorry sod.
Well, you can, you could get a hard drive data retrieval expert. You'll pay a couple $100 to get your data pulled off the old hard drive. So Canadian, it might be several $1,000s. I don't know. But the redundancy's built into the cloud. It's distributed computing. So it's just kind of built in, right? It's backed up unless there's a genuine catastrophe, like a meteor strike or some shit. Then you're probably going to be fine.
Are you subscribed to the cloud? You save the cloud?
Everybody is, whether they know they are or not. But this is true. This is this is what we would in the computer science world call, or the discrete math world at least, call vacuously true. Yes, this is what it is. But it's not a single computer. That's the point. It's distributed. So there's a backup process built in there.
I might have to subscribe to cloud backing up because and it's like $20 a month. Like, what about $20 a month?
Yeah, I don't know if I pay $20. I'm paying. I think you could. I ended up getting. I use Microsoft OneDrive, okay, which has a number of convenient features, including the fact that it just shows up in File Explorer. Right, I put stuff there. It goes up to the cloud. I don't have to. A lot of people have issues with it. In my experience, I very seldom have issues with it unless my internet goes out. So I'm paying for the big package, which I think is like 10 terabytes, and it's like a family package for Microsoft Office 365, and it's like $100 a year or something like that. That's American dollars, so it's probably $1,000 a year Canadian.
Jesus!
So it just never stops here. I mean, this is a concern, right? We really haven't seen this happen very often. It has happened, this kind of thing. But this is one of, why people used to resist buying games on Steam. It's like, what if Steam goes under? I'll lose all my games, right? Okay, that's a legitimate concern. I just don't know that it's going to happen anytime soon, since Steam is essentially a printing press for making money with no competition. So there's a lot of different ways you can do it. You don't have to have cloud storage. You could build a drive array with external drives if you want. Just get a drive enclosure, set up a RAID array so that you have all your data redundantly stored on multiple physical hard drives. You could do that.
What the hell are you talking about?
That's a little technical, but you could do that. That's one reason why the next computer I buy, I'm probably going to just build it so that I can just expand it however I want to expand it. Yes, this is also true. You're more worried about the provider going under than you are about the hardware failing. Hardware fails sometimes; it happens, but you just live with that possibility, and you take measures to protect yourself if that happens, or you don't. You lose all your shit. So, very good. E4M has just gotten Bastone, another GTS masterpiece from the fine folks at Multiman Publishing.
Okay, let me correct you. It's not Bastone. It's Baston.
Well, the GIs that all fought there called it Bastone, so that's what we're calling it here.
Baston is what you got between your legs as an Italian. You got a baston.
So it's not even in France. How do you know how the Belgians pronounce it?
Well, no, the Belgians. It depends if you're Flemish or Wallon.
Well, yeah, that's exactly what I mean.
This is the way the Belgians pronounce it.
Are you sure that's not the Dutch? We're blaming the Dutch for everything. I actually got a text the other day from a buddy of mine who works for UPS and found a guy with a very similar Dutch name to mine. And he was like, "Hey, is this package for you? Didn't think this was your address." And I'm like, "No, that's not me. That's some Dutch guy with a very similar name." And he's like, "So we're blaming the Dutch again, are we?"
The Dutch are such cool people, man. Michael Caine got it wrong.
This is totally true. You can never trust the English pronunciation, the English person's pronunciation, at least. But you can obviously trust an Ohioan's pronunciation at all times. We have a charming and rustic accent here in Ohio. I'm unsure as to which one or ones I should pronounce as Hugh and which ones I should pronounce as Hui. So, which I'm aware is not a perfect Vietnamese rendition either.
No, but I did that on a video because I just read it as such, and I said the Battle of Hugh because I just read it as.
God, well, in fairness, I'd have done that too had I not heard people talking about it and watched a Vietnam movie or something.
I know it's Hui.
I mean, they mentioned it at least in Full Metal Jacket. I can tell you that. So anyway, what are the Dutch accused of? Well, for one thing, putting random J's in their words that they may or may not pronounce. It's like, why is there a J there? I don't understand why there's a J there. They love the letter J in the Netherlands. I cannot explain it. At least we're not calling it Holland like the British do. Many of the best line in Austin, I think it's the third Austin Powers movie, is when they're being captured by the villain and they're like interrogating Austin Powers, Mike Myers, of course, and his father's played by Michael Caine, and Michael Caine says, "There's two things I can't stand in this world: people who are intolerant of other people's cultures, and the Dutch." And Michael Myers is you got to actually watch the scene multiple times to see the Mike Myers reaction to that statement. It's a beautiful scene.
That's a killer. That's a killer line.
And that's this, but you don't notice it in Finnish because they have 75 different vowels. So, and 97 different vowel noun cases. So they're concealed, they're camouflaged in Finnish. Yeah, so English is probably the only language French is probably the only language I could think of that is comparably difficult to spell than English. In English, it's just a really complicated and thorny history. In French, to take this as amateur bullshit, but my understanding is that modern French spelling is very close to the way the words used to be pronounced.
Yes.
And they just decided that they were going to be lazy and stopped pronouncing half the letters. That's the story I heard from my romance language guy. So,
but I'll tell you something. French is a beautiful language. Gorgeous. Beautiful.
Oh, it's a fabulous language. It absolutely is.
It's technically perfect. It's like baseball.
You got to follow the chat. We knew we were going to end up talking about this. Mander says that the Dutch are accused of stealing Dan's weed, and Carl says he grows Dan's weed, and he is, and the weed is safe. So
I don't smoke weed.
You keep telling us that, but you're smoking a pipe. God only knows what kind of devil weed is in that thing.
Man, I've been smoking this pipe. I've been smoking this pipe for 45 minutes. You know how
that's fair. I mean, people been giving Calandale shit for that. Is that really tobacco in the pipe? For years now. So
I'll tell you something. I'll tell you something about Calandale's pipe smoking. I got in touch with him, and he smokes Captain Black. Now, that's like a Scotch drinker drinking. God, what's that crappy Scotch, man? For God's sake, McClellan. What happened? Artie, did you freeze? Huh? I'm not frozen. Time is still going on. No, not Canadian Club. And yeah, Carl, I used to smoke weed, but it gets me paranoid now. It doesn't work anymore, man. So I just cut it. It's over. I don't smoke weed anymore. I grew 4 plants. I think I'm going to get this year for one of my friends. And I think I'm going to get like maybe half a pound. Maybe half a pound. And last year I got 2 pounds. And I was giving it away, man. And we didn't meet because I was going to give you like a couple of ounces. You know what I'm saying? What's going on here? I don't know. Yeah, I'm not. No, it doesn't work. Weed doesn't work for me no more, man. I did my time. I try to trim my eyebrows, but you know, I'm not frozen. Just me, baby. Harold, I'm gonna kiss you on the mouth. Yeah, you know what? You're right. The old 70s weed, nice and weak. Very good. Very good. And I think because they used to smoke the leaves. Now they smoke what they call the buds. In French, they call it the cacat. And I swear to God, that stuff will just knock you out, man. Carl, it doesn't work. CBD, THC, ABC. Nah. Yes, I want to play Time Tripper. And I'll tell you, Jim Dunnigan, he was a stoner, man. Don't tell me he wasn't. Artie. Kiss my hiney, Artie. I could tell you a story, man. But it's not politically correct. No, the weed you gave me was not strong. So I would smoke my weed. I would smoke. Then all of a sudden it didn't work, man. My new workplace, I'm gonna get this built, man. No, I can't do cigarette tobacco. I can't do it. There's the chemicals in the cigarettes. I can't even breathe. So I smoke nice and clean and fresh tobacco like this Vaughn tobacco, right? That's made in Denmark. Fantastic. I got some Wessex Golden Virginia Flake. Just unbelievable. And I also have from McBaron, Pure Virginia, the HH, Very nice. Very nice. But I'll tell you something. There's one of my favorite guys, one of my favorite blenders did this. Viprati. Okay? And this here, as soon as you open it, it smells like blue cheese and vinegar. The smell is wonderful. It's like fermented grapes. And then when you smoke it, it doesn't taste like blue cheese, but it's just a very nice, rich, and deep and complex smoke. I do not have a favorite blender. Harold, a tobacco blender, not a machine, for God's sakes. What's the matter with you? I'll kiss you on the mouth, I swear, when I see you. Harold, my God. I don't know where Artie is, man. Doug, I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it. Hey! Yes! Yes, and apricots. I had some weed that smelled like apricots. It was citrusy. The smell, just the weed. Fantastic smell. I love the smell. I don't smoke it. Harold, what can I say? What can I say? By the way, talking about the Dutch, I'm drinking Carlsberg. Huh? Look, you know something? This weed stuff and all that. They're probably the Canadian government is probably raking in the money. Something fierce. It's controlled. The weed is controlled. Yep, it's good weed. You get many different strains. It's not that cheap. Still, you can get an ounce for about $125. I was selling it to my friend for like, no, I wasn't selling it. I was giving it to my friend. He just happened to give me $50, and I said okay. And that's, you know, what can I tell you? It's just weed. Weed. It's weed. Weeds. We pull out weeds. You know what I mean? Yeah. 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 Because not everybody smokes weed. Everybody drinks alcohol. Everybody drinks alcohol. Especially us old timers. I remember, you want to hear a story? This is how I started. Because basically, would I consider myself an alcoholic? Yeah, I'm a functioning alcoholic, right? I like to come home and have about 4 beers, this and that, whatever. So that's an alcoholic. There's an addiction. Even though it's 4 beers, it's an addiction. And when I was young, this is how it started. When I was young, 2 years old, when I was teething, my mother would give me, like when my teeth would hurt, Mama, the teeth hurt, she would give me a cap full of Stock 84. And I guess I loved it. I loved it, man. It was just, so you know what? I drink whiskey now. I gotta thank my mom. That's what they knew back then. What can I say? Blackberry brandy. Wow, that was easier to take in than Stock 84, but I like whiskey. And talking about whiskey, man, I've said the story a few times. When I met Mark Herman, I was so happy. Anyways, when I crossed the border, I bought myself a bottle, a liter of. It was Scotch. I forget the name. Nadura, I think. I forget. Nadura. Ooh. And I met Mark, and I said, Mark, do you drink Scotch? obviously you drink scotch. So that night we drank half the bottle. God, was I sick. I was so sick. I've been sick. The head, the room was spinning. I didn't throw up, nothing. And in the morning, I had to interview, I forget his name, man. He did Storm Europa, and Carl likes one of his games. And I had to interview him, and I stopped the interview just as I started, because I said, "Look, man, if I keep interviewing here, I'm gonna puke my brains out all over your prototype." And that's the night I drank with Mark, and I remember seeing Mark coming through the hallway, and he wasn't hurting at all, man. Anyways, people, Artie ain't coming back. It's we're past our time, and it's great. Thanks for showing up, Carl, Christopher, Mickey, Jeff Beeler, Carl, both the other Carl. No, Carl, I don't want to play. I can't smoke the weed. I'm gonna paranoia out, man. Plus, you kill squirrels and mice. I can't do that. Okay. Anyways, yeah, maybe Artie lost some power. I don't know what happened. Okay, people. Thank you very much, and I'll see you next week at Artie's house.